Good evening. Welcome to Let's Keep It Real with Boy Meets Girl 101. My name is Lydia Bachueji, co-founder of Boy Meets Girl 101. And thank you so much for joining us. Let's see who will be the first to tune in today. Oh, okay. Anas is the first. Adna, hello. Hi, Dede. Thank you for joining us. Oh, our resource person is also here already. One of them is here already. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be an amazing conversation and you don't want to miss any part of it. So I encourage you to stay tuned till the end. Freeman, Cake, okay, I'll not mention the names. Thank you, everybody. Sam, thank you for joining us. Thank you all for joining us. Mami, hello. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. The Wins Fabric. Cake Menagerie, I hope I got that right. Thank you for joining us. You are all welcome. Dr. Leslie is already here. Mami Isa, thank you for joining us. Mel, you are welcome. Goldas, hello and welcome to Let's Keep It Real with Boy Miss Girl 101. My name again is Lydia Bachueji, and I'm so glad to have you on. I'll just take a moment to acknowledge our sponsors, after which we'll go live into the conversation. Fragrances and more GH. Every perfume you want, they have it from Fragrance World. Jira Events, Triple Treats, GH, Volta Matte, Juice Sport, Pounds World, Be Nice Catering Services, Pavon Concept, Picture Magic, Wild West African, Anike by Nisa, M-Touch Artistry. Thank you all for joining us and helping us to bring this conversation to the audience. Thank you, everybody that's joining us. Our apologies again for changing the time. It was unforeseen, but we are here now and we're ready to get into the conversation. I would add our guest. Please let me know if you can hear us, if you can see us. Everybody that's joining, you're welcome and thank you for joining us. Golden Pen Consult. Ruth, thank you. Tara, I see you. Thank you for joining us. Eugene, thank you. Thank you all for joining us. I think Asante Junior, thank you all. Miss Adoko, Nadi, thank you. Messi, Lina, thank you for staying awake all the way and joining us. I'll add our resource persons now and then we'll start the conversation. Navigating long distance relationship. And today they're here to share their story with us so that we can learn from it. That's what Boy Miss Girl is all about, learning from what others have, navigated already. So, yeah.
Hi guys.
Oh my.
Hi.
Hello, how are you doing?
We're good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for making the time.
It's okay. Thank you for having us.
Yeah. I think Pastor Solomon will join us soon.
Yeah, he's there.
But whilst he's here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me add him then. Yes, he's here. Okay. Yes. So, yes, Golda says my people. Yes, they are really here. Thank you for helping us to make this happen. Hi, Pastor Solomon. Hello, Mrs. Solomon. Thank you so much for joining us. Yes. Okay.
Thank
so
you.
I want to get right into it so that I don't take any more of your time. Leslie and Mr. and Mrs. Edu, let me take it that way. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourselves?
Sure.
And then Pastor Solomon and Mrs. Solomon will do the same.
Okay, so I'll go first. Guys, hi everyone. If you're watching, I'm Leslie. We stay in the UK. I'm a doctor, and we did long distance relationship for about 2 years, and we were supposed to bridge the gap, I think, in a year. That was the plan, basically. But then COVID happened, and we've been married for 2 years.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. So my name is Isaac Ojo Adu, and I'm an IT professional. So like she said, we got married 2 years ago, and yeah, we're still kicking
it. Yeah, that's great. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Solomon.
Okay, I think the lady will go first.
Yes, Zoe. I'm a pharmacist. Assistant a year and a half.
I think we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't really hear.
Yeah.
Can you hear us now? Yeah. I'm Zoe. I was saying I'm a pharmacist. We're also okay. We were long distance for about 18 months, a year and a half, and then we've been married for the last year, just amazing. Over a year.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, my name is Abby. Yeah, and then like my wife said, we've been married for a year now and some months, and we did the longest distance relationship.
I see.
I'm a PR professional.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Thank you all again for making the time to speak to us. At Boy Meets Girl, we seek to help people build healthy relationships, navigate their relationships using real life examples. It's not like some book knowledge or somebody just dreaming something up, but we are using real people that have lived the lives that we are talking about. And it's so good to have you here, having done long distance relationships, and today you're together. I believe a lot of people on the session and people who even watch after will take a lot of inspiration from it. So thank you so much for making your lives an example. Yes. Okay, so generally, what was your experience dating long distance?
Who do you want to go first?
Okay.
Should we go first?
Yes, please do.
It said what was our experience, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I mean, long distance relationship, I think for me, if I'm honest, it was actually quite easy. I think when you're not in a long distance relationship and you hear about the distance, you think, oh, okay, this is going to be hard. I think with the right person, if you're communicating effectively, even though of course you want to bridge the gap and be with the person every day, I think being with the right partner or the person and being able to communicate effectively. And I think for me, with the long distance relationship, I think it helped us, especially in our marriage, to be able to communicate. So if we see something that we feel like, might not be right or we don't like in our marriage now, we're able to communicate because we used to do that prior to getting married.
Okay.
Yeah. And with me as well, it wasn't really a difficult part for me because, for me to start a long distance relationship was a bit out of the box for me because I never supported in the beginning, but then in the long run, I eventually found someone good who kind of changed my perspective about long distance relationship, and then we was kicking on, growing, and then we're here now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something that you were thinking you would do, but when love happened and life happened.
That's the thing.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Solomon, how was it like generally, overall? How was it like?
I think it's not easy. It's not easy apart from but I think it's definitely it's worth it. So I think a lot of people close their mind off long distance relationships, but for us it was we learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot about it's an interesting experience, but it was hard to be apart.
Okay.
If you ask me, I'll say that it is left to me alone. It never would have worked. It wasn't.
The mic is blocked. The mic.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it better now? Okay, so left to me alone, it never would have happened, to be honest. If it hadn't been for my wife who held on, and then she was the one that was literally putting all the effort before I then had to come in with the effort. It was a very hard one for me. I had already come out of a long distance relationship already, of which Leslie knows about, and it wasn't something that I was ready to go into it. And then I just closed my mind, but it was my wife who really put her all into it, and then she was like, let's do it. And left me alone, it never would have happened.
Mrs. Solomon, thank you. We are benefiting from your efforts today. Okay, that's great. So, Mrs. Solomon, what would you say makes it work? Since you really push for yours to work, what would you say makes it work?
I think you have to be consistent with communication, because when you're long distance, it's very easy to live your life separately, and maybe you just catch up here and there. But I was very determined that we're going to talk in the morning, maybe during the day. Like, even if we've got nothing to say, it's about keeping it consistent, because when you do come together, it's not weird or difficult. It's not like, why are you, like, your routines kind of just align, rather than if you live separately, you'll now find it a bit difficult to do stuff together. I don't know, that was my feelings anyway. So I was quite pushy with, even if we're not really saying anything, we're just on the phone in each other's company, because that's how it is when you are together now, isn't it? Sometimes you're not even saying anything, but you're together. So yeah.
I mean, the reason why I was laughing was because at a point in my life, I could tell whatever time she was going to call me, because obviously she closes at 5, and then Ghana was 4 p.m. by then. So I can tell that between 4 and 4:02, I'm going to get a call. So sometimes I literally just put off my data so that she doesn't call me. Because if not, like, I knew she really made it very consistent. To be honest, she was very consistent with communication. That's one of the things that we really wanted to talk about here. That long distance, like Leslie was saying, is not that difficult if making sure that you are consistent with communication.
Okay, Mr. Edu, what do you think? What do you think makes it
work? Communication has to be key. That's 100%. Because I don't know how, like, proximity is not helping. So if you guys are not communicating, I don't know how the relationship is going to work. With me and Leslie, like, it was back and forth every time we're on the phone, and even when we're not talking, we can be on the phone and then we're breathing. I go to the bathroom with her. I go to the toilet with her. Like, everything I'm doing, even when I'm at work, even when I'm not speaking to her, I'm on the phone. And it's not like how do I put it? It wasn't burdensome. Do you get it? Because I was speaking to my best friend all the time, and there was always just for us to talk about. There was always things to talk about. There was never a boring moment. So yeah, it was quite easy for me when the communication was pulling through.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the accent for me, to be honest.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I think in any kind of relationship, communication is very important, even when you are very close. And then it makes it even much more important because, like Mr. Edu said, proximity. You can't just like catch a flight and go and see if the person is, so it's really important to communicate. So basically, I think the most important thing for a long distance relationship to work, amidst everything else, is to communicate consistently, not like when you feel like it or when it's convenient, but you always have to be there. Okay, so apart from the distance, what would you say makes it even harder?
Well, for Leslie and I think it was the cultural background. Yeah, even though she's got like Ghanaian parents like me, but she was brought up in a very, very white environment. So the way she sees things is very, very different. And in the beginning, I wasn't like, every time she speaks about it, I'm like, I kind of brush it under the carpet. But as if you want things to work for you, you need to like pay attention. You need to compromise. You need to compromise. It can't be a one-way thing. So in the long run, I'm still learning though. We're still young in the mind, so I'm still learning and I'm catching up little by little.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm going to touch on that. I think culture differences makes a big difference. So of course my parents are Ghanaian, so I'm Ghanaian. I go to Ghana. I even speak I speak Tree and everything. But I think in terms of the way I've been brought up, where I've lived, how I've seen things, and especially Ghanaians in general, the way they see things and how they approach things are so different. And of course, having a husband that's from Ghana, of course, he's going to be strong in what he might believe or what he thinks, and etc. But I think this is important not only in long distance relationship or marriage in general, but I think for any relationship is to be able to meet each other halfway, compromise or learn bad habits and learn new habits together, and have like a middle where you say, okay, this is what we're going to learn, this is what we must do. I understand where you're coming from, I understand where you're also coming from, but we will find a way to make it work together.
Okay. Yes. Mr. and Mrs. Solomon.
I think Leslie is even much more Ghanaian than
Yeah.
that. Like people saying, the cultural difference was
Yeah.
So
very huge for me.
still
For
learning.
me, yeah. If I'm to put it in a percentage wise, I think probably I might be like
Okay.
25% now, because trust me, I married a full British, who doesn't speak any
Okay.
Ghanaian language whatsoever, and you have to find the way to make sure that, I mean, you think like that, reorient your thinking. Obviously, because I moved in with her, it has to be the other way. So I had to really unlearn a lot of things, learn and relearn so many things. So the cultural thing was a very huge thing for us, and even up to now, Leslie and my wife forces me to eat a lot of Spanish food and things that I but I mean, it's one of the things that I love.
Yeah.
I've come to
Yeah.
learn, and I like it.
Yeah. What about you, Mr. Solomon?
Yeah, and I think the cultural differences, you know, of course, it's that you have to learn, and it can be difficult, but I think it's also an opportunity to learn a different culture, learn a different way of doing things, and also appreciate each other's differences. I mean, you eat some food I grew up eating. I cook his food and things. So like it's all a learning experience, and then you get to appreciate a different culture. Just because you've done something
Way to
all your life
do
doesn't
it,
mean it's
yeah.
the only way to do something. Doesn't mean that the other way is right or wrong. It's just a different way, and I think it should be, you should try and see in the positive way rather than it always being, oh, so different. Yeah. So, but it is. Yeah.
If you might not ask us this question, but please help me applaud
Oh,
her, because she
wow.
makes tea
No
sets for
way,
I
me.
can't even
Zoe.
make
Something
sense.
she never, something she never said in her life.
Oh,
She makes okra soup for me, and it tastes
No.
of my own. Yeah,
yes, yes,
so
yes,
please
yes.
applaud it for me. That's
Zoe,
what I applaud.
Zoe, you're doing better than me.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. And like Mr. Solomon, you said, it's not about doing it this way because that's the only way you know. And it doesn't mean how you've done it all your life is the only way or the best way. It's about finding a compromise, like Mr. Du said, and meeting each other halfway so that it is what you want and you want to make it work. You don't have to be stuck in your ways. And especially on the culture thing, as Ghanaians, we feel like a man should be this way, a woman should be this way. And I mean, I'm sure on your end, looking at boulders is quite different. So it will be something that you really need to iron out. And I'm glad it's something that you overcame. I was thinking either Mr. Edu or Mr. Solomon, Pastor Solomon will mention data, but since you didn't mention, I'm sure you lived in East Legon or something.
Data! Yes! Yes!
You know when
It's
none of
fine.
us are talking on the phone, everything is so clear. The moment you say hello,
Yes.
It's like all the forces are against you.
Exactly.
That was a big at the point I'm sure I developed a hand problem, because I had to hold the phone halfway with my hand and make that.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. Okay, but would you say that having dated long distance makes your marriage easier in any way?
For me, I would say definitely. I might be wrong because, of course, this long distance is all I know. But I would say for me, doing long distance relationship, for me, gave me some sort of advance in terms of being able to express myself, like I explained, as well as being honest. Sometimes I think when you're in each other's space for too long, you are able to kind of like mask up and be a certain person for a while. But with long distance relation, where you are living your life, he's living your life, but you have to come together and there should be like a middle ground. It's important to let your partner understand that this is who I am, this is what I do, this is how I act. Do you understand? And this is maybe in terms of maybe I normally say to my husband, I have to tell him things 3 times before it registers. Do you understand? maybe if we was here in the same country, I wouldn't be able to notice that just yet. But these are like the small things for me that I feel like I had an advance in terms of, because I explained, like, he knows that maybe someone else will see me and say, oh, the way Leslie communicates is not the greatest, you know, because they see me and they hear with me. But because we were in the distance, he's learned to be able to understand the way I communicate. And maybe if I am saying something that might not sound right at that time or in that instance, he understands where I'm going and we're able to sit down and speak about it. So I think for me, yeah, long distance relationship really helped me, because not only did it allow me to be able to communicate, but it allowed me to also know who I was, what I loved about myself, what I liked, my do's and not to do. So I think for me, yeah, I think there's definitely an advance in long distance relationship.
Yes. Okay. Someone says she's taking notes for the church, so keep bringing all the apple. Okay. Yes. Mr. Edu, do you want to add something?
What a lot of people don't know about Leslie and I is that we've known each other for a very long time. Like, I've known her since I was 16 and she was 14 at that time. And from that time, should I call it a relationship? It was doing that child kind of, you know, relationship. And then, yeah, I think from there, we've gotten to know each other more and more every day. We grew in love from then, and then at some point in our life, I don't know, we had to cut off at some point, and then we came back. So yeah, long distance really helped me build capacity when it comes to, you know, doing this long distance thing, and also sacrifice, because, you know, sometimes she needs your attention. She's far away from you, miles away from you. She wants to talk to you. Maybe she's going through something that you're the only person she can speak to. You're gonna have to sacrifice. Sometimes I need to sacrifice my sleep. Sometimes I need to sacrifice things I'm doing just to speak to her, just for her to make her, you know, okay, so that things can go on. So yeah, long distance really helped us build our marriage.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I think you touched on a question somebody was asking, how do you show affection? But I'll ask you guys anyway after you are done with this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mr. and Mrs. Solomon.
Yeah, for me, like Kofi was saying, it really helped me to build a lot of capacity. And I had to learn, I had to brace myself up for the task. The typical Ghanaian take things very easy and very real. Like, okay, yeah, it is what it is. Let's just take it one step at a time. But when I met my wife, that we dated for just 10 months. We've known each other for a while, but we dated for just 10 months. Is it? I think on our 11th month or so, on our 10th month, we got married. So although we've known each other, we were not really talking. We were very intentional about things during that 10 months. And one thing she said was, listen, we're not here to take it one step at a time. Make up your mind and then let's do it. So it kind of made me brace myself up for the task. It gave me extra capacity. I felt like, okay, I'm doing a PhD or something, and now I have to make sure that I'm preparing for my thesis. I'm preparing for all the assignments, and it's a lot of sacrifice. I can't imagine. I was crying at a point using my EcoBank card. You know how you have your Ghana City card, and then you're buying things on Amazon pounds.
I was gonna come to that.
It's a huge. Doing it for the one you love makes it so easy and makes it so nice. You love it doing it. So yeah, it was a lot of it gave us a lot of learning curves, learning experiences for us.
I would also just add that I think it really helps in the beginning stages too, of like when you're getting to know each other, because if you're dating and like when you're seeing each other, it's very easy to maybe not open up as much because we were far apart. You have to ask questions, talk about, like, you can't, it's not like you're going to the cinema or going for dinner or, you know, activities, you're on the phone, you're texting, you're on video call, so you have to talk. So I think in the beginning it really helps you to get to know. So even though we got married quite soon, it didn't feel like that. It felt like we had spoken a lot. So yeah, I would say it definitely helps in the initial
yeah,
as well.
that's true. And then I think it also eliminates the issue of that kind of let's see how it goes, try and error, because like it requires so much more effort. So you're not just trying to throw your time away or your exchange rates bias away and all that. You're doing the best you can. Yes. Okay, so another question I want to ask. Okay, let's answer the question someone was asking in the comments, that's how did you show affection to each other? For me, whenever I want to give Golda something, I wait till she comes to Ghana and then I give her, because I don't want to have to pay so much. You know, and I mean, not just in terms of gifts, but overall, like Mr. Edu was saying, sometimes the person needs you, and for you it's an hour difference, but it can be so much. It can make all the difference, 1 hour, you know. So how do you show affection? How do you show the other person that you are there for them without being able to offer a hug or hold their hands and say that's going to be okay?
I think especially for long distance relationship is to understand, they call it your partner's love language. Of course, it's harder in terms of the distance, but kind of like understand what the emotional needs might be at that time and try to meet it. So I think he touched on and he explained that sometimes I might just want to have his listening ear. So maybe there's something I'm going through and he's the only one I want to speak to. That means he's going to have to make time wherever he is at that time, sit down and listen until I feel like I've been comforted enough, then he can go away. So I think it's the same thing with myself when it comes to him. I think, especially I remember when I was at work, my AirPods will always be in. So if he was to call, even if I can't, speak, as long as he knows I'm on the phone at the time and we can communicate and we can speak, and that's fine. I think gifts play a part, but I think for long distance relationship, I think it's just being there emotionally. So even though he can't be there physically, as long as I know that there's someone there that I can lean on, I can call him and just be like, this week I had a rough week. It was stressful. But I think one big thing that played a major role in our long distance relationship, especially when it came to our emotions, was God.
Yeah.
Because even though we are dating long distance, I think it was only God that would able to bring us this far and allow us to bridge the gap and allow us to be able to learn things that we need to learn. He needs to be able to give us the wisdom, the understanding, the patience. I explained that it takes a lot of, you have to unlearn and learn new things. So maybe in the past, maybe the way I might communicate or explain my emotions, he might not understand it, but he needs to really sit down and say, you know what, I'm ready to learn, I'm ready to understand. And I think it only takes the grace of God to be able to be in that and say, you know what, I'm going to drop whatever I have, sacrifice, and I'm ready to learn whatever she needs. And God, please take control and take charge of the steering wheel. So yeah, I think that was for me anyway.
Yeah, and for me as well, showing that affection, I think, the thing is, we was always speaking. we talk about everything that are not even necessary. Like, we talk about everything, anything that comes up. And then sometimes she needs this, she needs that. Like, apparently I know everything that she needs. That's the thing, because ever since we've been together, growing up and all that, I got to know this and this is what she likes. I know her love language. I know when she's getting pissed. I understand her very much. So it wasn't like a hurdle for me. It was quite easy for me to like understand when to do this and then when to do that, and when not to do this and when not to do that. So I kind of had a jump start when it comes to that. So it was all right for me. It wasn't that tough.
Okay. Yes, Mrs. Solomon.
Well, I think I was quite expressive with so he received a lot of long paragraphs, voice.
I like that.
I would DHL a car. Yeah, so I think I was very vocal with the fact that, I love you, I'm here for you, even though we're not physically in each other's presence. I try to be very assuring of that with my words, and my time. And well, I was a bit of a gift giver, so yes, with gifts as well. But yeah, I think it was a lot of just expressing it and just like that reassurance, isn't it? Because you're not with each other, but yeah. And I think fun, so.
Yeah, I think for same as my wife, same as Kofi, same as Leslie, for us, it was for my wife. It's more of her love language, and she loves a lot of quality time, so she wants that time. I mean, whether you are there or not, just make sure that you make the time for her, because I was the type that was very busy, not busy as in busy, but yeah, but there were times that I was so busy, especially on Saturdays and on Sundays, and I had to literally make the time for her, put her into my plan of action, make sure that, hey, I'm not alone in this. We are doing this together. So we need to put ourselves together. We need to put in that amount of time and effort. And that was what I was doing. And then also I knew she loved gifts. So I was doing the gifts. My wife is the type that would love the customized stuff. So she wants it customized for you. Yeah. So at a point where I ordered a cake, and where she lived and where the cake was supposed to be delivered so long, we ended up sending the cake. By the time she got the cake, it was all spoiled. But she still loved the fact that the thought behind it was I think it was the 7th birthday or so. So I sent her 27 cupcakes, and it was just amazing. But when the cake came, they just spoiled. But she still loved the fact that I understood what she wanted, and then I was able to deliver. So yeah, it's about the love language, understanding what you want, what your partner wants, and then feeding your partner with those things.
Okay.
So yeah,
I want to say sorry about the cake, Zoe, because I love cakes, but I'm happy that it didn't happen in Ghana.
I paid some of money for that.
So as another question in the comments, and I'm sure both of you didn't have to face that, but it might have been at the back of your minds. I want Zoe and Leslie to answer this for us. You know, sometimes there are men and women in African countries, excuse me to say, who would want to take advantage of people who live abroad in European and other countries. Did you not have that fear? Leslie, why are you laughing so much? Did you not have that fear at any point in time?
Do you know why I'm laughing? Because I think that's for me, that's a myth for me. I mean, we hear that, you know, dating a man that's in Africa, you know, he's only here, you know, because he wants a way to get into your country or where you're from or what you're doing and etc. Or you use the word take advantage of you. But my thing is, whether you are in a long distance relation, whether he's in Africa, whether you are here, you can still get taken advantage of. There, you know, you can be with someone in the same country and he will still take advantage of you. It doesn't matter because of the distance or a different type of country. I think, especially, you know, coming from an African country, I think we hold this, our passport being abroad, like a luxury, you know? So we hold on to it so much that, okay, I mean, you're dating someone that's not from here and is in Ghana. How do you know that he wants to be with you? How do you know he is honest? How do you know that he genuinely loves you? I mean, we know, for example, there are people that live in the same country, been married for 4 years, eventually they feel like they've been taken advantage of. There was no distance. I think it's the same thing in terms of distance relationship. You need to get to know your partner for yourself and understand that, okay, actually this person is good for me, this person understands me. And again, I mean, I think us four here, we're Christians, so, you know, putting the God in the center of it and allowing him to take the will, like, God, if this is not for me, let your will be done. Do you understand? Speaking those things in the atmosphere, understanding what your partner's mindset is like. I personally think, I remember when I was younger and I would hear people that would do long distance relationship and, you know, and their partner is in Ghana, for example, and you'd hear all these, you know, these noisemakers like, oh, this is not going to work out, you know, their partner's only going to take advantage, he's only here because, you know, you have your passport and he wants to take advantage. And I remember growing up and I just realized, and I thought, it makes no difference if you're in the same country. I think for me, the most important thing that I want to say to females is that make sure that you find a partner that is genuine, that genuinely loves you and has your interest at heart. It doesn't matter what country he's at, whether he has a British book, a red book, blue book, green book, as long as he's ready to, you know, be there for you, he's honest, you know, he's loyal, that's perfectly fine, because you can find someone here, he'll be 2 doors away from you, and he's taken advantage. So I think the, you know, African background, I think is just a myth.
Yeah. Okay, Zoe.
Yeah, the reality is some people do get taken advantage of in that way. So we can't pretend that it doesn't happen. It does. But I think, well, when I met my husband, I didn't have that thought or that fear. I felt that I was going into this with, you know, good intentions. He was coming in with good intentions. And you always have to remember, at the end of the day, that's, you know, you're both going in with those good intentions. So you have to trust and believe that God isn't going to kind of lead you astray. And if, for whatever reason, the person does take advantage of you, if you've gone in with a pure heart, you've gone in with 100% pure intentions, at least you know that you didn't go in with those kind of doubts. Because I think once you start to suspect, oh, is my husband doing X, Y, Z, then you've already brought mistrust to your relationship, and I don't know how long and how far it can go. So I think you can't go into a relationship with a thought like that, because it won't benefit in the long run, really. I think that's my...
Yeah, and to add up to what they both said, can you hear?
Yeah.
Sorry, to add up to what they both said, is the fact that whoever asked that question, I realized that a lot of us don't go the step further to speak to our spiritual fathers about our relationships. We tend to hide things and then make it look like, oh, it's our own way. I mean, our generation is such that, yeah, we can handle it. We can do it all by ourselves. But both of us, Leslie and Kofi, myself and my wife, we have the same spiritual father. And we, like, whatever it is, before I started gaining interest in my wife, I spoke to him about it. And then he told me, yes, go ahead. If it wasn't so, he would have told me, listen, don't go. And I mean, these are the people that we're asking their blessings from. We're asking our blessings from, and then we're also asking about their opinion. So is that factor of you speaking to your spiritual father or letting someone in authority know about the relationship. They might just look at your partner and say, listen, this guy is not the best for you. And sometimes it is true, the guy is not the best for you. But when you take the whole initiative all by yourself, you end up hitting the rock and then building mistrust. And then the person sometimes the person has not even thought of leaving you, or maybe doing some kind of thing. But the moment you start bringing that in, breathe it up, and then they'll end up doing it to you.
Yeah. I think I was speaking to somebody after I made a post on, was it Wednesday or so? Somebody sent me a message saying that it's hard to do long distance, and that how do you even know? I mean, how does he know that his girlfriend is not doing anything bad and all that? And they are both in Ghana, just in different regions. And I asked them, so is it that she's done something before that makes you think that she's doing something bad, like she's cheating? And he said no. But then because of previous relationships, and like Leslie said, she called them noisemakers. It is true that there are people who, maybe based on their own experiences or what they've even heard, it might not even be true, but they've heard that it's happened to somebody, so they just project it on you. And as Pastor Solomon is saying, if you haven't spoken to somebody in authority, somebody that knows your partner at least, you might just throw it away without giving it a chance. But that might be yours, that might be the one for you. So I mean, in any kind of relationship, we need to speak to people that know the people we are interested in. Don't just jump in and say that, hey, I want this one, you know. And I mean, men in Ghana too are a catch. So Kofi and Pastor Solomon, yes, you're also a catch, and Goldas and Cody all want men in Ghana. Yeah, so you also, I mean, you need to be, you are also being careful that it's not like you are not just being taken along for the ride, so they will find somebody better or something. Yeah. So I want to ask you, did being in a long distance relationship put pressure on you in any way to speed things up and get married so that you can be together?
I don't think it put pressure on you per se, but I think what it does is that, of course, you want to be with your partner. You want to start a life together. I think the best thing is to always bridge the gap as soon as possible. I mean, what are we really wasting time for? I mean, I remember my spiritual father, the one thing he would always say is that don't date for too long, get to know the person. If you're ready, make your mind, boom, go straight into it. Because it makes no difference if you're taking 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I mean, if you're doing distance for 2 years, 3 years, maybe by then you might even get too used to the whole freedom and the distance, and instead of being is it responsible to, like, do you know what I mean? So I think for us, I did mention that we wanted to bridge the gap. I think it was a year, exactly a year, and COVID happened the year that we decided. So we started dating in 2018. We were supposed to get married 2019 October. COVID happened, so we had to wait the following year, 2021, unfortunately. But I don't think it put any pressure on us at all, if I'm honest. But I think it's just wanting to close the gap. It's enough. I'm not coming to Ghana again. It's okay. the 5 times a year is not, you know, it's not making sense. Please, let's bridge the gap and start our life together. So yeah.
Okay. Yes.
I think, well, does it put pressure? I suppose you can see it, that it does, but I think it's just like Leslie has said, it's that desire to be together and close the gap. And once you feel like you've gone through that initial stage of, you know, you've gotten to know each other, you know that you want to get married, then, you know, if you want to do it, if you want to wait longer, it's not, all it's doing is prolonging the process. And I think that the thing about long distance, it can become very strained after a while because you are apart, you know. I mean, like financially, it's not easy to just like travel and see each other as well. It's not always that simple with work schedules and things. I remember I would have to try and get some paid days off, unpaid days off to be able to extend time. So it can become very strained because at the end of the day, you just want to be with your partner, and then there's this, you know, distance that if you're ready to get married, then why not do that and then start your lives like Leslie was saying. So I think you could see it as a pressure, but I think it's just a natural desire. I think maybe if you were in the same country, it's a bit easier to say, oh, you know, maybe next year after, because you are seeing each other all the time. But even still, you're not married until you're married. So I think, it's a natural thing.
True. And I mean, it's not even about how long you date if you're not being intentional about your dating, because you could date for 15 years and still not know the person well enough as compared to somebody who's intentional. I think, Pastor Solomon, you mentioned that about being intentional about your dating, having the important conversations, you know, asking the right questions, getting the answers. You know, sometimes we'll come to that. We'll come to that on the myths about long distance before we end the conversation. But I want to know, is there anything that you think, having been in a long distance relationship, I'll start with Mr. and Mrs. Solomon, is there anything you think family and friends can do to help you?
I think family and friends should just support you, support the decision you have decided to make. Because a lot of them aunties say too much. A lot of them aunties say too much. So I go cheer for the no, before you realize, then you'll be calling your parents that you want to come back to Ghana. Are you sure you want to do this? But maybe now I go be a yeah, I'm speaking Greek. It's Greek. Yeah, it's a Greek language. So that's how it was. I think the aunties and the uncles should just accept your decision. Where they think they can help you, they should help you out with it. But here lies the case: someone doesn't even know Kotoka at all, and she's advising you about a long distance relationship. Yes, I mean, you don't even know anywhere near the airport, and then you want to tell me that I shouldn't go into, simply because maybe the son has not gone into it or something like that. So I think family, the best thing family can always do is just to accept your decision and then help you with it. That's
So
it.
you want to add it?
And I think to minimize the aunties and uncles, one thing we did is we kept it with a very small circle. So by the time, so like he was saying before about our spiritual fathers, we told our parents, and maybe just very immediate family. So by the time we were telling extended family, even if they had comments, they couldn't make comments because the decision had been made. Our parents had accepted this decision. Our church had given blessing. So there was no room for those comments of, oh, are you sure? And X, Y, Z. And I think that's one thing that's quite important. And also I think family and friends should be understanding, because you can be very like up and down when you're in a long distance relationship. I mean, it's not easy to miss your partner, and so if they can be understanding, be patient with you. I remember one Christmas, well, I suppose the Christmas we spent apart, I think I was on the phone to him like half the day, and my family were very nice. They didn't complain or anything. So it's just that understanding, and just being supportive and encouraging you along the journey. I think it's very important and good to have.
Mr. and Mrs. Edu.
Yes. So with friends and family, I think is the support, words of encouragement. I remember when I spoke to some of my friends, especially my family, about my woman, like, yeah, bro, this is the person I'm trying to get married to. So what did they think? Unfortunately for me, I didn't get a lot of support from friends and family, but with close family, yeah, it was good. But unfortunately for me, I didn't get a lot of support because, my wife kind of had this I don't know, look that they didn't expect me to go for. Really, she's got tattoos, she's got this, she got that, but they were being judgmental. Yeah, that's the word. But if you don't know the person, if you've never spoken to the person, I don't know how you can just draw conclusions like that, and I don't think it's fair. And the thing is, eventually when they get to speak to her, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know she was this, I didn't know she was that," which is very, 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 at some point, embarrassing. So I think friends and family should really give support to the parties involved, and words of encouragement and all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think the same. I think especially friends and family, I think it's just important to just be encouraging, being there for people that I understand.
Yeah.
That's our pastor.
Hello, Pastor. Well, good. How are you?
All right, I'm listening to you guys downstairs. You guys are doing.
Yeah.
I'm listening to a long distance thing. I remember.
Copy the love from him.
You opened the door for us.
He's a long distance.
Okay.
If I open the door for anyone, I apologize in advance. It's not easy.
Okay.
But yeah, I think just being there and encouraging and just accepting whoever's decision to do long distance relationship and understanding why. I think, like Zoe said, for me personally, I don't really seek anyone's approval apart from my immediate family, if that makes sense. So like my parents, my mom, my dad, and maybe like a few people around me that are very close that I allow, but apart from that, I think it's your choice and your decision, but this is what I've made. My parents understand, whoever that needs to know is okay with it, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I have about just 10 minutes of your time. I want to ask 2 quick questions. So did you ever think to yourself, what does the word of God say about long distance relationships?
If I'm honest, I actually never sat down and thought, but that wasn't the one thing that came into my mind. But I remember, so I think me and Kofi was dating for like 2 months or 3 months. And I remember going to my spiritual father and we were speaking. And the first thing he asked, are you dating someone? Are you seeing someone? And I was like, yeah. That wasn't even my plan to start opening up my mouth or anything. But he was like, I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, does he have plans to marry you? And at that time, which was really funny, we had started speaking about marriage. And I said, yes. And he was like, okay. Then he was like, okay, he would like to see him. And I remember he said to me, he's maybe from that time we had a conversation, he said he's going in the next 2 weeks. So he's going to go and see him. And I remember at that time, my heart was just beating out of my chest because I thought the moment he goes to see this guy, and if he comes back to me and he says that I don't feel like this guy is right for you in terms of, because my spiritual father don't only look at maybe in terms of physical appearance, financial situation, but your mindset, your wisdom, your 5-year plan, where you're heading, where you're going. Because, you know, at the end of the day, as a man, you should be able to lead your family somewhere. So he looks at all those things. So these were the things he was asking me and I was answering. But, you know, coming from me, he would say, if you're in love as a woman, you make excuses for the man. Let me meet him myself. And I remember the day the meeting was happening, my heart was beating out my chest because I thought,
you're just waiting.
Yeah. And he didn't call me. He didn't say anything. Nothing. I called him. He was like, when I get back, I was speaking. I thought, oh my gosh, how do I go back and tell this guy that maybe my spiritual father thinks he's a bit crooked in this way? But I remember I saw him and he's like, no, he's cool, cry. You are blessed. Go. And I thought, Father, thank you, Jesus. But for me, no, I didn't think of it in that way. But one thing we were very intentional about is to make sure that God was at the center of it. So we were praying day in and day out, just making sure that we're at the right path, or doing the right choice, you know, because marriage is not a joke. It's forever. To death do you apart. The moment you say that, you're stuck forever, whether you're punching or not, we're staying here together. Do you understand? So to avoid that, and maybe there might be some things that he might have that that aren't good. It's better for us to find out before we get into it. But no, we didn't. We were just very intentional, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
I think I never saw any scripture. Maybe there is, but we had the man of God, our spiritual father, telling us. I spoke to her spiritual father, who even gave me more tips about
that's smart.
Even new. She spoke to my spiritual father, who also told her, I think at the first time she was scared. She thought, oh, maybe my spiritual father doesn't like him, because I am that close to him. And then I tell him everything. So when it happened and I told him, he had a conversation with her, and oh my days, she thought my spiritual father didn't like her, because it was, but in the end, it was just amazing. He just gave us the go ahead. So we didn't have yes, but we had the living word through the man of God, through our spiritual father to us. So at least that alone is a proof that he heard from God, and then he has confirmed what God has established in our lives.
Zoe, you want to add something?
No, and I think the other thing as well is that we all had a peace about it, and I don't think, like, if it's a godly thing, I don't think you would have that peace. You would feel some unease or something. So I think that was quite evident for both of us, which was different to previous relationships and things like that. So
Okay, so I just want to ask this: is there any myth on long distance relationships you want to debunk? We've talked about one where everybody thinks that, hey, they are out to scam you, they are looking for a way out of Africa. Is there any other one?
People often think, oh, how do you know he's not cheating and things like that. I think that you can be next to someone and they can be. I think like any relationship, but it's important to build that trust from early. Don't trust your partner. I don't see how it can really work, because then you're always going to be suspicious and things. So I think, that's one thing that people often think is, how do you know that they're, not going to cheat, or how do you know they're not going to change and things like that? But people change all the time. That's just a natural thing and process of growing. So I think there's certain things that are they're just, yeah, they are myths, and I think they're fears that people put in your mind, really. Yeah.
And I was told
Yeah,
that
same.
long distance relationship never worked. It will never work. Like you are it will never work. But I'm here to tell them that it's 1 year after and it's still working.
Yeah, and it's gonna work till.
Yeah.
Amen. Till.
Yes, Kofi, you wanted to add something.
Oh yeah, so it's just what Pastor Nee said. A lot of people were telling me it wasn't going to work. It wasn't going to work. But I'm like, I've made up my mind. I've made a decision. I'd already spoken to God. I got the direction. I believed He was directing me through the right path to do the right thing. So I just had to go for what I wanted, and then eventually we're here, 2 years down, and forever to go.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. Okay, Leslie, anything else?
No, I think I touched on the, being taken advantage of. I think for me, that was like, and I mean, I think you can get taken advantage of in any circumstance. So it's just making sure you know that the person that you're with is for you. Yeah.
Okay, so finally, before we let you go, any final words to anybody in a long distance relationship? I saw one comment that it makes me think the person has really had a bad hand dealt to her in a long distance relationship. Is there any words of encouragement you want to give to anybody on this live session, or anybody that will watch later that's in a long distance relationship?
I think, did you say any advice, did you say?
Yes.
I think for me with long distance relationship, I think always go in there with your pure intention. Be kind, I think we use the taking advantage of people. I think that's just a no. I also think that, especially, I mean, as of me, like me and Zoe that are, females, I think as a man, especially if you're dating somebody and you're in long distance, I think the most important thing, or the first key, is to always trying to meet, that daughter's father. Get to know him, speak to him, let him understand your intentions. One thing I've learned in long distance relationship is that if the guy that you're with has good intentions, he would want to meet people that are close to you, to let them know that I am taking your daughter seriously. So this can be your biological father and your spiritual father. So I did mention that that's the same thing that Kofi did with me. I think he met my spiritual father before he met my actual biological father, but this was because of the distance. And then I think a few months after my dad went, I think as a man as well, I think always remember to kind of like be kind. I mean, treat your partner's family as your own. So I'll say, for example, with Pastor Nee and Kofi, they've left Ghana and they're here. So me and Zoe, we basically have our parents here with us. But I mean, I would say for Zoe and I, our parents love them as if they were their own, their son, But it also all depends on how you as a man, you are towards their daughter and to them, if that makes sense. So just being respectful, being kind, and I think it works perfectly fine that way.
Yeah. And also another thing I'd like to add is you need, as a man or a woman, you need to be real. You need to be real about your intentions, about whatever you're trying to do. I don't know why just because you're trying to please the person, you'd want to kind of go the extra mile, and then when you lot are together and then you're not giving the person the same attention, it becomes a problem. Because for a female, she's going to be like, yo, this wasn't how like we started, but right now you've changed. But that was in you in the beginning, but it was just doing things to please the woman. And for a man, I think it's normal. But I would like to say you need to be real and never take God out of your relationship. He needs to be the head of everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think just make sure it's what you both want as well, and have like a vision, or like you need to know like the end. Like I don't think long distance can be continued forever. So you need to both decide if this is what you want, or if you want to maybe separate, and then be intentional with that and be consistent with your intentions as well. So it's not like, oh yeah, we really want to bridge this gap, and then 2 years down the line you're still. So it's like, I think you have to be very intentional and consistent in what you want.
Yeah, then I'll add that the issue of consistency, be very consistent about it. It is not something that is on the
And that
ground.
form.
It's not on the floor.
It's not the
And
floor.
so the very moment the very moment you decide to say I'm taking a break for a minute, it can cause a lot of things in that. So be consistent about it and then be intentional. Be intentional about it. Like there are a lot of things that you wouldn't do or you can't do. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, OPN, let me see it. Oh, you, as much as you don't like it, you have to be intentional about it. If you are married, you have to, sometimes even when you're not married, oh, you're just in a normal relationship, maybe getting ready to marry. Oh, babe, give me a kiss through the phone. Be like, come here, if you're go away
Go
every day.
away.
Be intentional. Kiss on the phone, like kiss on the phone, so that
You finish it, you kiss on the
how you
phone.
can. That's how you can get it running. You have to work it till it works. Don't sit there and say, oh, don't worry, wait, I'll give you proper kiss when I get it. I see you at the airport. No, kiss on the phone so that they can. Then when that, then the last one is
Yeah.
put a lot of actions to whatever you
Yeah.
say. There are things that you keep saying. Oh, I'm sure some people in a long distance relationship have promised their partners the whole of Ghana, and even Ghana, some people are wondering where they are going to stay again because if someone has promised their partner the whole of Ghana, add actions to it. Go and see the president, and if possible, pay Ghana.
I think
So
the
put
last one
actions
I
to
also
whatever
want to
you
add
say.
is that
Thank you.
let your partner, so like your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, be your best friend. Let no third party enter your circle. It's just both of you guys. You guys, like, I think for us, already we're best friends here, but I think getting married, we realize that no, like it's just us two. We need, listen, if the whole world collapses and we have just ourselves, we're very good to go. So please make sure that your partner is your best friend. You understand each other. You can laugh. He understands you when you're angry. You know, you're able to do things together. Travel the world. Enjoy in your marriage. Let that person be your best friend.
Well,
You
Enjoy.
need to enjoy well. That's your partner. Don't marry someone that when they're saying let's travel, they're like, oh, this I like this house, I like this country. No, do things. There are things that you need to explore together. Let that person be your best friend. Your best friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes, Kofi, you wanted to add something?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. I'm good.
Okay, thank you so much for making the time, and thank you for being so honest. You know, you have conversations with people and they just want to present
Thanks
the
for
best
having
parts.
us.
We are
Thank
really
you for having
grateful
us.
for making the time for this, and people are saying they're inspired to do long distance because you've done it. So I'm sure they'll come to you for some more tidbits on that. But we really appreciate your time. And Leslie and Zoe, you are rubbing off on your husbands. I see that they are getting the laugh. Well done, well done. And again, to our sponsors, thank you so much for helping us bring this conversation. And good night, everybody. And remember to be kind to your partner. Not everybody has one. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks.